Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Testing.
1 2 1 2. Yes,
One,
ma'am,
two,
sir.
1, 2, I guess. This is our first time doing so later.
I'm on this.
Okay.
And as soon as I say, and today we have, that's your time to say your name. It's Late Night Whispers on It's Gorgeous Radio, and I'm Coco. And today I have,
Dr. Bila Tazana.
and today she's going to talk a little bit about her business, but first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Abila Tazana. I was born in Washington, D.C., but the parents had immigrated from Trinidad and West Africa.
Ooh, Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yum, yum. I'll be going there in October. Cannot wait.
Yeah, a party land.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyways, so they immigrated here, went to high school and college, attended Howard University, both for undergraduate and medical school, and then did my residency in Virginia.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, just began kind of starting life, having children, and came to the understanding that 3 of my 5 children were affected with autism.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can understand on some levels, because a lot of people probably know and a lot of people don't know I have a disability. So I can just get it. Just autism alone, I know. I hear a lot about it. But for you to have 3 children, how was that from the first one to the second one to the third one?
So very difficult, and I think that challenge has really informed all that I do in terms of our nonprofit organization. So I would say with the first 2, there was an incredible amount of grief and just having to accept the challenge of raising a child that's differently abled. But once I got the diagnosis in the second child, there was some grief, but then there was also the onset of purpose.
Right, the
knowing
calmness.
that there was a reason, that God had a plan for everything.
Okay.
And then my third was diagnosed a little bit later. By that time, however, I'd started laying the foundation for our organization.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your organization.
Okay. So our organization is called the One World Center for Autism.
Okay.
It's really rooted in the fact that many children and individuals with autism are described as living in their own world. And our whole goal is to really have those with autism be linked and connected to their world. So we do that through 3 arms of services. The first is family support. That's critical, because if the family's not healthy, then nothing else stands.
Right.
Individual support, and then community outreach. So making sure that those in our community understand, but more importantly, that those with autism are not hidden, that they're integrated into the community.
Okay, so I know that the children, your 3 children, were the main focus, but if they were not, or if they didn't have autism, do you think you would have still started your nonprofit?
I probably would have been doing something in regards to special needs or mental health.
And why is that?
Simply because I was raised. I was one of 6 children. I had siblings with mental health challenges.
Okay.
Still have a younger brother that has significant schizophrenia. And for some reason, throughout my whole 20 years of practicing, I've always been led to children who were differently abled or had emotional behavioral health concerns. So I'm not sure if it would have quite have been autism, but it probably would have been something related to developmental disabilities and mental health.
All right, so now there are so many things going on in the world where I know 20 years ago you would very rarely hear people with disabilities towards as of being locked up, towards to be whatever the case may be. I'll give you an example. I have the issue where I can just go crazy from 1 to 2.1 million. And I just had the experience where I was catching the bus back. Yesterday was my birthday, and Thursday I went to New York. So therefore, the man told me, well, you can't get on this bus because of blah, 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 blah. By him not, I feel, number one, everybody needs to have some type of a training. One, if you are service workers or you're a worker working with people, point blank, period. So he was like, oh, you can't get on the bus. So I went from 1 to 1.5 million in a matter of seconds. One is because when he said, I can't, that word I don't do very well with. If he had said, just give me a minute and let me see, he could have taken a minute, since I was the number one on getting on the bus. He could have taken a minute to say, give me your email address because that's what was told to me. All I have to do is give the person my and I'm not going to tell you what bus service, but he could have just said, here's my phone, type in your email. Then even though he was letting people on, while I was doing that, that probably would have kept me calm. And then,
Probably wouldn't have escalated.
right, but
Yeah.
it escalated. As soon as he said, you can't get on, move over, get out the way. And I was just like, dude, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck in New York because I didn't have any more cash. I had went crazy on my credit card. That's the reason why I know that this, I know I have my issues. So what do you feel for people, these programs that are started? Are you going to be the program that, okay, we're just going to get you rolling and then we're going to leave you? Or are you going to be the program that, okay, we got you, I see you, you're 20, I'm going to be with you when you're 40, and I'm going to be with you when you're 80, even though I know you're probably an older person. But how is your program going to be a lot different than anybody else's program?
So I think we have just basically adapted, and we're growing along with the need. We were started when we started the organization. Myself and many of the founding members, our children were very small.
Okay.
And so, because I am a pediatrician, and the other founding member, who's currently now our general pediatrician, is also a pediatrician, our service age is really the pediatric population.
Okay.
However, our children are now maturing into adulthood, and so as they mature and others that we've served are maturing, we are expanding services, and it's based, it's really informed on our personal journey. So, and even when we care for our families, I understand that's a huge issue. It goes both ways. We always tell parents, we're here for you as long as you need us.
Okay.
Some parents may go on and may need services elsewhere.
Right.
Some will come when there's a time of crisis, and some will continue the journey with us. But we're open door, and so we always let them understand that we're a new family for you, because many times their actual families may kind of disappear into the woodwork with the diagnosis. But we really leave it up to them.
Okay, now what makes your program different than other programs that are out here?
I think one, because this is not just a professional venture for us. It's a heart adventure. It's what we live. It's what we live 24/7.
Right.
So we understand the struggles. We understand the ups and downs. We always say, life with autism is very unpredictable.
Right.
It's very challenging.
Right.
But there are also blessings along the way when people have access to support, when they have access to interventions, when they have access to knowledge. And so that, to me, is what really defines us and makes us different. And, we hear people saying all of the time when they come into our center that they feel like they've come home. They've stepped into a home. We try to make the environment such as that.
Okay, so I'm the first one. I'm coming. I knock on your door. Where do I go?
So you'll start off at our front desk,
Okay.
and so we'll just inquire, what are your concerns, what are your needs? Maybe you're a person coming in for services for yourself.
Okay.
Most of the people that knock on our doors are parents, they're caregivers.
Okay.
So they either have a concern about their child having autism, and they're looking for a diagnosis, or maybe the child has autism and they're in need of services. So the first thing is to kind of figure out what the need is.
So let's just say I have a child with autism, and I just want to find programs to, number one, help me because I just need a break. I need to be away. I love my child to death, and I'm just doing a play role with you. I love my child to death. My little girl is 8 years old, but just sometimes I just think I'm going to go crazy. So I'm telling you this, so now where do we go from there?
Okay, so that speaks to a very important service called respite. Okay. And that was actually one of the first services we created, because we realized that journeying with autism is heavy, especially in the beginning when children may not have the tools to be able to communicate their desires and needs. So respite is really child care for the sake of the emotional wellness of the parent.
Exactly.
We offer a respite program twice a month, one for ages 3 through 13 years, and the second for children 14 and up. And actually, when we met, we just finished up a 14 and up program where we took our kids sailing on the
oh, wow, I want to go.
Now, but the whole purpose of it is that it's not just coming into closed doors and just sitting in a room with our kids. Parents are getting a break, but our whole purpose is to link these children. So We have two 15-passenger vans. We're in the vans. We're getting connected to the
Okay.
community.
Now you're not like, and I'm not knocking no programs. So just say I'm
Yes.
just touching programs. I know there's a program. I see them all the time in Macy's. That's the reason why I stopped going to the Macy's in PG Plaza. I would see the program. I would see. I'm not talking about anybody
Yeah.
African, whatever, but I would see the people with the disabilities, shoes too big, clothes not fitting, cold as a monkey's so-and-so outside, and they have on just T-shirts and clothes and not fitting. Programs like that, it kills me because I'm over here shopping, but you got two other people that you're supposed to be your clients. You're supposed to be with them, but I'm shopping with them. How you like these shoes, girl? Do you think these
Yeah.
shoes are
Yeah.
nice? I hate programs like that, and that's the one reason why I do not. I can't. You will not get me to really go in PG Plaza, especially during the days, because that's what I always see.
Yeah.
I've been in a program myself where they ask me, what do you want? How do you want to go? And if I didn't have friends to help me get my cleaning business together and help me get my nonprofit, I would still be one of these people sitting, eating, and just looking at TV. When people look at us and they label us with a disability, they don't realize that we are sometimes more intelligent than, let's just say, you got a doctorate degree. I know I will never be able to get one.
No,
I
never,
wish,
never,
I
never.
wish, I wish, I wish. One
say
reason
never.
is, in most colleges, you got to pass the English and math. I don't do well with test taking. Even though they give you somebody to help you, by the time that person starts and they say, okay, well, let me help you try to figure out. I can tell you the answer, but a lot of times those people are younger than me, so therefore they are like, it's like I can't get the solution of the problem to you because you're up here and I'm there. Does that make sense to you?
Well, no.
Okay.
And
That's
I'll
fine.
explain why.
It's fine.
Because I don't believe in hierarchies. I mean,
Okay.
I believe that people have access to different things, but just because you have access to more education doesn't make you better than another individual.
That's what
Now,
they say.
I know that, I mean, everybody has a different perspective on that. But the whole premise is that we're all human. We all have a right to enjoy this
Right.
earth. We all have a right to be socially connected. We all have a right to be loved, be cherished, and also to find purpose,
Right.
no matter what your level of ability
Right.
is. I'll just speak to, your concerns about, and I will say there's a variety of different programs out there for individuals with developmental disabilities, and some are very disheartening. I mean, as a parent, sometimes it's your biggest fear as you age. What will happen to your children? Will
Right.
they be cared for by people
Right.
that
Right.
don't really have a heart for what
Right.
they're doing? And we do. I mean, there are clear examples of people that really don't have a heart. What you're
Exactly.
describing are individuals. However, there are many people that do.
Right.
It takes a little bit more vetting, a little bit more searching. And sometimes really, the onus is on those of us that are walking the walk to create
Right.
those opportunities. So, yeah, I would say.
All right.
that's
So you
happened.
said that you took these. You took, how many did you have today that you went?
So we had a total of 6 of our youth that came
Okay.
out, 4 volunteers, so a total of 10. It was actually a small group today. We usually have anywhere from 8 to 10.
Okay.
We don't try to service more than that
That's
because we need to have small groups.
Right.
Sometimes our children can get overwhelmed.
Yes.
And so we want to make sure that we have enough staff to be able
kind
to.
of right.
Yeah.
So, would you have one staff for every one or two, or?
It depends. It really depends. It depends
Okay.
on the child or the youth. I mean, you can have 10 youth, and you may have. Typically, we try to keep the ratio 1 staff to about 3 children.
Okay.
But it really depends on the child. There's some children
Right.
that may need some one-on-one assistance, and some children that one staff can kind of oversee
Right.
maybe up to 5 of them, just depending on where the child is.
Now your staff. Tell us a little bit about your staff, so that we can be comfortable. Because as you as you just said, sometimes you can't get the right person to work. So
Yeah.
how do you know that your staff is like the bomb diggity?
Yeah, I will tell. I don't know about repeating that term, but I'm going to tell you. I am blessed to have a tremendous staff. I thank God every day. I get up and they are a second family.
Okay.
Many of the individuals who provide services in our organizations are also parents.
Okay.
So they walk that walk. They
Okay.
have a heart. They're embracing of our population. They understand the struggle. So I really feel when you have a personal connection to whatever you're doing, that really is a game changer for the services and how you serve people.
Right,
Yeah.
because like I said again, I've been in so many programs, and the program that I'm in now,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody probably knows anything about it, so we won't talk about it. But I
Yeah.
got a text from one of the people who was my social worker saying, "Oh, I'm no longer going to be with you," and I was saying to myself, I was like, for real? And I was like, did you all even read my what is it, IPA is it IPA? Whatever. It's the thing that it's like the tells about your business. I mean your tells a little bit about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I know in that first paragraph because
Oh,
I
your
have it.
individual plan.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it says I don't do well with separation.
Mm-hmm.
But you texted me telling me that you're no longer going to be with me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow. And I recently had just gone through a phase where I was at the end. I was tired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to, again, get into too much of mine because I want to stick with you, but I'm just elaborating a little bit. And the social worker literally was in my house, and I was on the phone talking to a crisis person at that time, and I didn't even want to talk to that person, and somebody transferred me. And I'm crying, and my social worker's saying, well, you know what, I'm so hungry, I'm about ready to go. And I'm crying, telling the person on the phone, look, I'm tired. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired. And I feel that anybody, if I hear somebody saying I'm tired or they crying, I would have been like, what's going on, what's happening? What?
So I'll say this. I mean, first and foremost, there is a shortage of mental health providers. Okay, so
Yes.
that nationally there's a shortage. Even when it comes to the pediatric population, there's even a greater shortage. So one, we don't have enough mental health providers.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, there is a piece of medicine that is slowly being challenged, and also mental health, and that is the humanness in terms of service. Um, Unfortunately, so much of what is driven in terms of medicine, mental health, is really driven by money,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and so um, the heart of medicine, the heart of mental health, is really challenged. I always believe there are good people in every field, and sometimes that's hard to find them. But
Yes.
but don't just use your experience to,
No,
we
I'm
don't
not.
want to
I'm
generalize.
not knocking anybody.
Yeah, no,
I'm
no, no.
just
I
keeping it
understand,
100.
but you're
Right.
real. I mean, it is a real thing. I've struggled. I also care for my mom who has Alzheimer's,
Oh wow.
and in this whole new journey with her, I have been very disillusioned by care and where
Mm-hmm.
people's hearts are. I feel like, over 20 years ago when I started in medicine, there was a level of compassion and pride in being able to serve and meet the needs of others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that has totally gone away,
Right.
but it's very much different, and you have to
Yes.
really search hard to
Right.
find it.
And I get it
So,
that everybody has a life, and I get it that everybody's going through things, but also at the same time, if you're kind of, if this is your field, I feel that if you're going through something, then maybe you should tell your supervisor, look, give me a few days to
well,
kind of, yeah,
professionalism. It really
supposed
is
to
about,
be.
yeah. I mean,
You're right, right, right.
professionalism is being able to be mindful, and even if you're going through something, understanding what's the appropriate environment to get that particular need met in. It at work, taking your challenges and concerns out in front of other people is not an appropriate setting to do that. Or taking your challenges out on those that you serve,
Mm-hmm.
it's not an appropriate place to do that. So yeah, there's room for training. There's room for training on how to interact with others. There's room for training for people to come into the field.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there's lots of opportunities. There's a lot we have to do to drive people to the field, because those that are actually in the field are so overwhelmed at times. So
Because I know the
yeah.
cases, you get like 25 to 50 cases, which I think that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's because of the shortage.
Right.
That's really
Now, if
because
somebody comes to your facility, can they come from D.C.? Does it just have to be Maryland? Can it be Virginia? Can
Yeah.
it be PA? Can it be any?
So our mission is to serve Prince George's County and surrounding communities.
Okay,
So
so
that surrounding
DMV.
yeah. So and actually, we've had people come as far as Lorton, Virginia,
Okay.
to
That's
get.
not too bad. That's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
30-minute hour ride.
It is, and I think the furthest up Maryland, maybe Westminster. But
Oh,
most
wow.
of the people that we serve are
It's like
in
right in
Prince
the area.
George's County. We've had some DC residents, and we've had individuals in Maryland outside of Prince George's County. But our mission is primarily Prince George's County.
Okay, now I know earlier when we was outside talking, you were
Hmm.
telling me that you wanted to do it backpack. So tell us a little bit about what if you could just say, look, this is the type of things that we would need to make this work. Let the people know what you need.
Yeah. So
Backpacks, how many?
we are embarking on several services this year. One of which is the start of primary care pediatrics. So one of the needs that we um, have come to realize is that I primarily have been doing diagnostic services. So when parents have a concern, they bring their children. I work with that family to help them understand whether or not the child's developmental differences are is related to
Okay.
autism.
And you said, what was the word that you just used? Diagnostic testing.
Yeah,
So
diagnostics.
is that a test to find out, or is it a little bit
Yes,
more
no,
into that?
it's to determine
Okay.
whether or not the differences that the parent is seeing is secondary to autism. So whether or not the child has autism.
Okay.
Now, in that process, however, I am a general pediatrician, but I work as a consultant. In that whole process, I've had many families raise the concern that their primary pediatrician, they would like to have someone that really understands how to serve children with developmental disabilities. So recently had Dr. Yolanda Swindell, who has been a longtime friend of mine. We've journeyed together. Her son and my daughter, same age, both have autism, have gone to the same schools. And we've always said I think it's important to really learn to provide primary care services. So that's
Okay.
just general health, well child visits, sick visits. So we recently started that arm of service. We'll be up and fully going, but I'd say by the end of July. We've been working hard. One of the things we want to do is have an open house,
Okay.
so to kind of highlight that particular service. Also, the start of a men's support group.
Oh,
We've had a
wow.
mother
Yeah.
support group that has been going for a while, but we recognize that our male caregivers and
Fathers, yeah.
fathers,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot harder for them in terms of acceptance and understanding.
Exactly.
And many of our moms are single parenting, so we want to get them in early.
Okay.
So we're going to be starting a dad's group, and then also just increasing behavioral support. So um, it's just coincidental that you mentioned backpacks because we were actually talking about, well, what would we be able to give out at the open house? So we'd love to be able to give out backpacks, but just to more importantly share what we
Right.
do.
Now, let's say if I call you and say, I have a child, can you give her or give him a diagnostic test? And what I'm trying to pull out from you is what is it? What is it like?
What is involved?
What is involved? Yeah.
Okay.
Can you kind of go into depth
Sure,
for
sure,
people
sure,
that?
sure. So typically, when parents have a concern, probably the most common concern that brings people through the doors is communication. When we think about autism, there are three core areas that are affected: communication, how a child or individual socially interacts with others, and then the presence of what we call repetitive or restrictive behaviors, so things that a person may be engaging in over and over again. And so when children are little, sometimes this is hard
To notice.
to decipher, but usually it's a communication concerns. If you have a child by the time they're 2 or 3, they're not saying anything, or they may be not interested in other children. They may be engaging in some kind of unusual play or unusual movements of their bodies. So that's usually
Okay.
what brings a parent in. So our visits are done over 3 parts. The first is to gather a lot of information. We do that through assessments, written assessments, but also through getting a comprehensive, what we call pediatric medical history,
Okay.
as well as developmental history. And then during that time, we're just making observations. So how does this child interact with their parents? How do they interact with me as the person that's doing the diagnostic? How do they interact with the environment? The second visit, we complete a structured observation test. It's the technical term for it is what they call the ADOS. And so that is structured. It's based on that child's communication level, and we go through an algorithm. And then the third visit is where we take all of that information and we share with the parent
Okay.
what we think the result is. So if we have to come to the conclusion of autism, we share that. That's a very hard visit, where it's not an easy diagnosis.
Right.
So we see that visit as the start of a journey. We try to give the parent as comprehensive a picture as possible of their child, but our most important thing is to have them leave with hope. We
Right.
don't want them to think that this is where their child will be forever.
Right.
And most importantly, we start to make referrals and link them to services and supports, whether that's educational therapeutic, so that they can begin the journey, because every child can make gains. And
Yeah,
that's the one
exactly.
thing we want them to leave
Exactly.
with. And those supports. And then also, what does the family need? Because
Okay.
sometimes you may, share this diagnosis, and the parent is so overwhelmed we can't begin the process of putting in the supports. We've got to work with their emotional well-being,
Exactly,
get
yeah.
them
'Cause
connected to services,
just
get them
having that
calm.
is, I know, is a hand. I know I'm a handful, and I know I was a handful, But my mom is 90, and she did real good. So I
Yeah,
just,
that's a
I
blessing.
went, like I said, I just met this young lady outside, and your soul alone was just like bling bling, like little butterflies and
Oh.
stuff. And I know that sounds a little whatever, but that's kind of like what I saw. Some was like, just ask her. And I was
Oh.
like, well, tell me a little bit about what you do. And in all actuality, she just decided like 5 minutes ago to do this interview. So that alone speaks its volumes for me. You know when somebody's really into you if you're talking to them, or they're just like, yeah, okay. So that alone. So anybody wants to know things about your program, and in a little while I want to make sure that you tell everybody everything. Now, the open house, do you have an idea of when your date is?
Probably the end of August or the
Okay.
first 2 weeks in September. So we haven't finalized the date as yet.
So hopefully when you do that, the week prior, I'll try to interview you again.
Okay, sure,
So
no
that'll
problem.
give you time now to talk a little bit more about the business and things of that nature. Okay, and then the backpack, do you have an idea? Or you want to do
yeah,
that
we still have to figure out.
okay,
Yeah, that will
okay.
probably be a part of the open house. So we're still figuring out. That was just one idea that we threw around. So I haven't really solidified that, but I think by that time
Right.
we'll know.
And
Definitely.
then probably because you have the shopping center across the street, you got Sobe Lounge, you got a lot of little places like in this area because we're in Lanham. You may be able to just do the knocking on the door and saying, look, we're a nonprofit, and I'm just giving you some ideas, and you can say, look, we're trying to do a fundraiser, even like the liquor store. They'll probably give you a couple of cases of water, so that at least help you out. So that's something maybe that you can also do.
Yeah.
So again, is there any other things that you would probably want as donations other than backpacks?
So in terms of donations, we can always use things like hand sanitizers, any kind of toiletry items. We tend to go through quite a bit of those. Yeah, those are big things. So water, or at least gift cards to get water. So gift cards to Giant, to any major grocery store, would be very helpful. I'm thinking those are kind of like the main things. Anything that kind of helps us in terms of supplies.
Okay.
Monetary donations are always welcome
Always.
as well. But we want people to give from a place that speaks to what works for them. I mean, sometimes people will make donations towards a particular program. If they really love the idea of respite and parents getting that help, they can donate and sponsor a child for respite. Some people may want to kind of sponsor a particular program. For our moms and our dad support group, we always try to serve a small snack. So that's where gift cards come in handy to be able to purchase those refreshments. So yeah, I say whatever God puts on your heart.
Okay. All right. So we understand now that. Oh, this is what I was going to ask you. How about paying? So when I come, do I have to pay? Do you have Medicaid?
Yeah,
Medicare?
good question.
What other programs?
So
Blue Cross Blue Shields?
So for our medical services, we accept most insurances, Medicaid and private. I would say the majority of our patients are Medicaid. We really want to be able to serve those who are underserved. So yeah, insurance is accepted. For our non-medical services, so like respite, there are fees associated with it. And so we just talk with parents if there's a crisis or a challenge. We try to link them with some of the social services like LIST funding or DDA funding that can help them. We really never tried to we've never turned a family away.
And what is respite for? Because I don't really know.
Yeah,
what
respite is childcare for the sake of a parent getting a break, really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's for the emotional well-being of the parent. Some parent may bring the child and just go to sleep. Some may go shopping. Some may get their nails done. It's really just for that parent to get a break.
Okay. And then is there a procedure? So let's just say somebody wants to do this Monday or Tuesday. Can they just do it that day? Is there a sign up?
Not for respite. So respite is a monthly program. When you're servicing children with any kind of developmental disability, you need to have as much planning and preparation as
Okay.
possible. So we do have forms. We need to understand your child's needs,
Right.
And how we can best
So nobody
support
can
them.
just drop off a
No,
child.
we just no, we can't
Okay,
do
I
that
was
because
making
yeah,
sure.
no, because we need to understand, how we can support them, allergies, behaviors, if they have certain sensitivities, what we
Okay.
need to be aware of. So usually we ask parents to join our listserv. They'll fill out a participant profile form for their child.
Okay.
And then once you join our listserv, we'll announce when that particular program will come up. It's usually monthly. Parents will sign up for the program. They can pay for the program. If there is a challenge, then they let us know. We'll try to make those connections for them. Usually children are registered about a week and a half to 2 weeks prior to the program.
Okay.
And then day of the program, they show up.
Okay.
Parents can head
Now,
out there
how
with them.
about people who may have clothing? Do you have, I guess, do you have a clothing bank for maybe the people who may not have enough? Like, let's just say hypothetically, if somebody brought a child in and you notice that the child may not have, the shoes are too small. Like, if you take the shoes off and they get ready to lay down, you're like, this shoes can't fit this child. Do you do you have clothing to assist, or what do you have
So
in that
what we
terms?
do, so in addition to our diagnostic and medical service, we have care coordination.
Okay.
So we have 2 care coordinators, one that primarily serves our English-speaking families,
Okay.
and one that serves our Spanish-speaking
Okay, so
families.
you have English and Spanish.
Yes, we
Okay,
have
good.
bilingual
That's
services.
good to tell us, so
Yeah.
we know.
So in terms of care, if we see a need like that, we would refer that family for a care coordination visit. We have a very good relationship with the crisis worker and social services, who is just phenomenal about trying to connect families. We do not keep clothing or shoes or anything like that in our facility, other than those that we keep in case a child, say, has an accident in the course of providing respite, simply because of storage. We just don't have the room for that. But in terms of, if there's a need, then we try to make the connection through the care coordinator.
Okay, now a little bit more about your business, and then I want you to make sure that you tell. How long have you had the business? First, tell me that, and I think of my other question.
So we are a nonprofit organization. That means that we are created for the well-being of the community.
Okay.
We started in 2007 as a parent coalition.
Okay.
And then in 2008, we officially became a nonprofit organization. So
how long have you been across the street?
So actually, we moved across the street in 2017.
Okay.
Prior to that, we were co-located with the Department of Special Education for Prince George's County Public Schools at John Carroll in Landover. And because of some of the restrictions in terms of the school hours, we had to kind of operate during school hours, and we really needed more time and space. And to have access, we acquired the space in Lanham.
And what is the space in Atlanta? I know that you said that you do all these different programs, but what does this one allow you to do a lot more than the other?
Oh, it's wonderful because we have 24/7 access to it. We've really been able to create it a home. So when you come in, most people don't even realize, they know they're probably in the office, but most people will tell us they feel like they're in a home. And that was the whole purpose of just having decor that's calming and welcoming and will put people at ease. We also, since we've been in this location, we've acquired the 15-passenger vans that allows us to be able to store them and have access to them. So this has just given us a lot more flexibility. And we're prayerful that this is just the beginning of
and you're thinking
more
about
space.
Maybe getting another spot, or?
Yeah, well, our goal is really to expand as long as the services are needed. So I foresee us probably growing out of the space within the next 3 years.
Now, 2 more things. Do you have openings for anything? Like job openings?
Not right now. So we just hired about 2 people for this new primary care services. But as we look to expand the behavioral health services, there's probably opportunities for behavior technicians. So we'll be looking for people who are willing to learn and become registered behavior technicians. And then for enrichment classes that we'll eventually get up and go, we'll probably need program assistance for that. So as those opportunities come, we try and announce it and recruit.
All right, do you have any classes like arts and crafts, sewing? Because I teach sewing. That's why I'm an arts and craft lover. So
I love arts and crafts.
Me
I
too.
always say if I didn't go to med school, I'd probably be an art teacher.
Yeah.
But actually, it's funny because I just ran into another professional. She's a speech language pathologist by training, who is interested in coming out and kind of offering her expertise in the form of art. So
Okay.
we don't have one currently. We do
Okay.
infuse arts and crafts into our respite program,
Okay.
but we would really like to get a
Yes.
dedicated arts and crafts, because our children are very visual,
Yes.
and many of them are really good
Very.
artists, great artists.
Right.
So yeah, it's coming, but it's not
Right.
just now.
Because I know, like, arts and craft, that was like pretty much of a calm, keeps you calm.
Yeah.
You're doing things with your fingers. Your mind is working, and it allows you to be a lot more free and not so strict. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. You can color out the side of the lines, or you can create, and you'll be like, okay, well, we started with this, but they came out with that. Well, I like how that child did that.
But when you actually think about some of our greatest artists, or people who have been, known to be our greatest artists, like Vincent van Gogh and other individuals, they're either people with mental health, developmental challenges, but that was their gift. Their gift is really to be creative and to be artful. So that's what they're known for. So, yeah.
All right, so tell everybody that maybe by the end of the year you're going to have arts.
I would say, to be a little bit more realistic, probably beginning of 2020.
Okay, so you're going to have arts and craft. Is there any other type of things? You got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, I would say probably the Fathers Program, as I mentioned.
Okay.
The Behavioral Supports Program, that would be expanded. And of course, our primary care pediatrics.
Okay.
So those would be the big ones.
Right. Now, we're getting ready to close. I want you to tell us your name, tell us the name of the program, tell us everything, how people can get in contact with you. You can also let people know that this is the packet that you give people. So this is your last to tell everybody everything.
Okay. So again, my name is Dr. Bila Tazano, pediatrician with the One World Center for Autism. We're a nonprofit organization with a mission to serve Prince George's County and surrounding communities. And our organization has recently expanded to include One World Pediatrics, so that's primary care services, pediatric services, and so in addition to that, we not only have medical services, but non-medical services like respite and enrichment classes and support groups. So, and if we don't have the service, then we'll do our utmost best to connect you to that community and support. To reach us, you'll call 301-618-8395, or you can send an email to info@worldforautism, and it's WORLDFORAUTISM.org. I serve as the executive director. Dr. Yolanda Swindell is our medical director, and Brenda Reed is our program coordinator, and we have several other staff members. But those will probably be your 3 leads in order to get in contact with our organization.
Okay, now do you have Facebook, Twitter?
I'm not.
Look at that face.
I'm not
that face was like,
I'm of the generation that's harder for us. We do have a Facebook page, though. I would say we do have a Facebook page, and so people can Google One World Center, and you'll see that there. But I'm not a Facebook social media person.
I saw that face.
Yeah. So, but we do have one. Okay. But I would say the best way to get in touch with us is just the good old-fashioned way.
Telephone
Pick
number.
up the phone and call.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you. Let me just make my little closing. Anybody that has a business, starting a business, thinking about a business, whether it's a club, whether it's a sewing business to making whatever, art and crafts, please reach out. My number is 202-510-2199. My email is latenightwhispers@gmail.com. I am on Twitter. I am on Facebook. I'm on anything that you want to call it. I'm on it. Late Night Whispers is Gorgeous Radio. I am Coco, and I appreciate you all for paying attention and listening. Mwah.